Snacks Productions!
The world is a big and complex place. There's a lot going on, and trying to gain an understanding of the world we live in may not be at the top of everyone's to-do list. Because of this, there are a number of things in the modern world that have an asymmetrical relationship between our understanding of them and the influence they have on our lives. Take water, for example. How does water get to my house? I have no idea, and although some would say they can explain it, I would venture a guess that only a small percentage of the population truly has a functional understanding of the water system. But that's the world we live in. There's no need to understand. All you need to know is you turn the faucet on and water comes out. It's the same thing with electricity. Do I know how the electrical grid works? I do not. But I do rely on electricity to survive, and I do know how to plug a refrigerator in and fill it with food. Again, there's no need for me to understand how electricity or the refrigerator works in order to benefit from its utility. The more advanced we get, the more specialized we become, and the further we get from understanding how the world that we interact with on a daily basis actually works. In the not-too-distant past, we had a much closer relationship to our daily needs. We understood where our food came from and how we got our water and energy. This is still the case in many parts of the developing world. The bigger the system gets, the more complicated it becomes. Another thing we have an asymmetrical relationship with is money. We all use money daily. We probably think about it more than we think about electricity or water, which is interesting because if you were stranded on a desert island, you would die without water. And if the electrical grid shut down, starvation would affect a huge number of people. It defines so many of our outcomes, yet most people have no idea what money really is. Where does money come from and how much money is there are just a couple of basic questions you would think have a straightforward answer. When we peel back the layers and look a bit deeper, things get a bit more complicated and certainly more cloudy. But before we start looking at the current monetary system more closely, we should consider another, more fundamental question. Where did money come from? In order to understand where we are now, it helps to see the path that money has traveled to get to where it is today. The most basic definition of money is something that can be used as a medium of exchange. It's what's used in exchange for goods and services. But that could also be considered a quality of money. Some other widely accepted qualities of money are a unit of account and a store of value. A unit of account is how you denominate your money, dollars, cents, euros, etc. This is a standardized unit of measure that allows for fungibility. Fungibility is the F in NFT and describes a characteristic of an asset where it can be exchanged without loss of value. It's the idea that a dollar is a dollar is a dollar. They are all worth the same. Store of value is important because if you get paid today, you want to be able to get the things you need at a later date. Store of value is a function of our living in a world where time marches on, and much of our success as humans has been our ability to plan and be ready for tomorrow. Once humans began to form groups, some behavior became transactional. Money is a way of satisfying transactions when the size of a group is sufficiently large. So when did we become humans, if it is defined by needing such a system? Surely there is not a definite date when we stopped being whatever we were before and became what we are. The evolution must have been slow and grueling. But at some point, we started working together in larger groups. What did this mean for the way we transacted? When we started having surplus, what was done with the extras? How did we keep track of what was done? Humans have had to walk a delicate balance between self-interest and cooperation, and found in this balance is the need to keep track of debts. Who owes what and to who? A way of thinking about this is that money is the residue of humans needing to be together. The survival need to achieve safety in numbers, combined with our brains, has led to complex systems that have brought us to where we are today. We started off in small bands of hunters and gatherers, literally living off the land and traveling wherever the food would take us. As we started to manipulate our environment through agriculture and the domestication of animals, some needs arose. When working in small groups, it was easy to keep track of everyone, and those that did not participate in the hunt or did not gather enough food on a regular basis would most likely get shunned from the group, which would be a death sentence. Small groups are easy to manage. Barter was a great option in this situation. If you had things that another group wanted or needed, and vice versa, the swap would happen. These incidents would have most likely added to diversity of food or additional clothing, but were not always critical to the survival of the group. As our groups grew in size and we started to domesticate animals, the agricultural revolution started. During this time, some interesting things developed and some questions arose. What do you do with the extras? The surplus of production needed to be saved and distributed, but how do you determine who gets what? Trade and barter are certainly useful. However, on a large scale, how does it work? In order for trade and barter to work, there needs to be what is called a coincidence of wants. This simply means that two parties each have something that the other needs or wants. They are in the same place at the same time and can come to terms with the exchange rate. The friction caused by all these transactions would be too much to overcome and would require another means of satisfying the need for commerce, trade, paying workers, and allowing large groups of people to interact.